Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you on how to crochet the perfect sweater for spring. And in this tutorial, I'll be making mine in a size large, but I'll teach you all how to create these in other sizes. Now, let's get into materials. For materials, I'll be making use of 4 shades of color, white being my base color, and I'll be switching up these 3 other colors as I work. You need at least 4 balls of the base color and 2 colors each of the other colors, and I'll be making use of a 5-ply meal cotton yarn for this project. This blue yarn I have here is actually 4-ply. This is a Naco 4-ply yarn, but I'll be making use of it alongside the 5-ply meal cotton yarn because I love this shade of blue and I think it's going to go well with my other shades. And you will need your scissors, hook, and for the hook I'll be making use of a 4mm hook. You can make use of any hook you have, just make sure that you get your measurements right. And since this is a measurement based pattern, you would need your measuring tape. This is very important. And also stitch markers. Now let's get down to customization. For this sweater, I would need to make 3 panels, which are the front panel, back panel, and 2 panels for the sleeve. And I'm showing you guys at the beginning of the tutorial because I feel it's going to make explaining, sizing, and customization very easy. So I would need you guys to get your tape and take your full bust measurements. I'll be leaving a measurement guide on the screen that teaches how to take your full bust measurement, and the picture is not mine, I got it from Pinterest. So once you've gotten your full bust measurement, write it down. Mine is 36. Once you have your measurement written down, add 14 inches extra. The reason why we are adding 14 inches extra to the top is because by the time we're done with the first row of this pattern, because it goes like this, the width of your front panel will reduce. So if you add 14 inches extra, you're going to end up with a snug sweater like I did. But if you want your sweater oversized, add more inches. So you can add as much as 20 inches, 25 inches, 30 inches, depending on whatever size you're making this for. And depending on how oversized you want your sweater to look on your body. So for me, I added 14 inches to my bust measurement, which is 50 inches. So once you have that number, divide it by 2, and we're going to have the measurement for the width of our front and back panel. And for me, that is 25 inches. So let's get into the tutorial. To begin, start by making a slip knot. Once you've done that, you're going to make the total number of chains that measures up to the width of your front panel. So mine is 25 inches. So I'm going to make as much chains that measures up to 25 inches. One important thing to note is that the number of chains that you make should be in the multiple of 14. So guys, I'm done with mine. I did a total of 84 chains and this measures 25 inches. So now make 5 chains extra. So yarn over and skip 4 chains. Go into the 5th with a treble crochet. And to do that, insert your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. And this is how you make a treble crochet for this tutorial. Now, yarn over, skip 2 chains and go into the 3rd with a treble crochet. Chain up 1 and into that same chain make a treble crochet. And we have just made a treble crochet V-stitch. Yarn over, skip 2 chains, go into the next chain with a treble crochet. Chain up 1. Now you're going to repeat 1 treble crochet, chain 1 2 more times. And this is how your work should look like. Now into that same chain make 1 treble crochet. You should have a total of 4 treble crochet and 3 chains made into this chain. So now yarn over, skip 2 chains and go into the 3rd chain with a treble crochet. Chain up 1 and go into the same stitch with a treble crochet. And this is how your work should look like. Now skip 2 chains and go into the next chain with an unfinished treble crochet. And to make an unfinished treble crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And this is how you make an unfinished treble crochet. So skip 1 chain, go into the next chain with an unfinished treble crochet. So now you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. And this is how to make a treble crochet together stitch. So skip 2 chains, go into the next chain and make a treble V stitch. Remember, the treble V stitch is 1 treble crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet. Now yarn over, skip 2 chains and go into the next chain with a treble crochet. So we're going to repeat what we did here. So chain up 1. In that same chain, you're going to make 1 treble crochet, chain 1 2 more times. So this is how your work should look like. Now make 1 treble crochet into that same chain. So in this chain you should have a total of 4 trebles and 3 chains. So from here onwards you're going to repeat from the treble V stitch down to the treble cluster here till you get to the end of the row. To finish up row 1, skip 2 chains and go into the next with a treble crochet, chain up 1 and go back into that same chain with a treble crochet. So now skip 2 chains, go into the next chain with an unfinished treble crochet, yarn over, skip 1 chain, go into the next chain with an unfinished treble crochet. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to make a treble crochet together stitch. And that's it for row 1. Now for row 2, I'll be changing up colors and I'll be going in with this blue yarn. So to switch up colors, attach your yarn like this and chain up 3. So when you're done with that, to make this very secure, you're going to tie the new yarn you just added to the leftover from your previous yarn. Now turn your work, skip this stitch here, go directly into the chain space and make a treble crochet. Yarn over, go into the next chain space here with a treble crochet, chain up 1 and make a treble crochet into that same chain space. Yarn over, go into the next chain space with the 4 treble crochet cluster like we did in the previous row. Now go into the next chain space and make the treble V stitch. So go into the next chain space with a unfinished treble crochet. You are going to skip the stitch here, go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet. Now into the next chain space, you're going to make the treble crochet V stitch. Into the next chain space, make the 4 treble crochet chain 1 cluster. Into the next chain space, make the treble crochet V stitch. So go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet, and you're going to skip the stitch here and go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet and yarn over, pull through all the loops to make a treble crochet together stitch. Now you're going to repeat from the treble crochet V stitch down to the treble crochet together stitch till you get to the end of the row. To finish up, so you're going to go into the next chain space and make an unfinished treble crochet, and into the top of the starting chain from the previous row, that's the 4th chain, make an unfinished double crochet. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. So chain up 1 and cut. But if you don't intend to change up your colors in the next row, you don't need to cut, just continue the rows like normal. So just to reduce the number of loose ends, I'm going to start working with my long tail from the first row. Insert your hook into the top of this double crochet stitch here, and yarn over and pull through. Make sure that this is not tight so that your work does not scrunch up. Then chain up 3. So go into the next chain space and make a treble crochet. So you're basically repeating what we did in row 2. Go into the next chain space and make a treble crochet V-stitch. In the next chain space, make the 4 treble crochet chain 1 cluster. Go into the next chain space and make a treble crochet V-stitch. And into the next chain space, make an unfinished treble crochet. Skip the stitch, go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet. Like we did on the previous row, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. Go into the next chain space, make a treble crochet V-stitch. In the next chain space, make the 4 treble crochet chain 1 cluster. Go into the next chain space with a treble crochet V-stitch. Go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet. Skip this stitch, go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet. So from here onwards, you're going to do the same thing you did in row 2. Repeat from the treble crochet V-stitch here down to the treble crochet together stitch till you get to the end of the row. So to finish up row 3, go into the next chain space and make an unfinished treble crochet, and into the top of the last stitch here, make an unfinished treble crochet. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. That's it for row 3. So for row 4, I'd like to switch up to my second color. Go into the next chain space with an unfinished treble crochet. So now go into the top of the double crochet stitch here and make a unfinished treble crochet. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. And from here onwards, repeat from row 3 to row 4 till you're very comfortable with the length of your top. So I'll do mine off camera and come back and tell you how many rows I did and also give you my measurements. So I'm done with mine. I did a total of 15 rows and this measures 14 inches. And that's perfect for me because I'm trying to make my sweater cropped. Now let me show you guys how to even out these scallops here. Chain up 3 and turn your work. And into the very first stitch here, make 2 treble crochet. So now you're going to skip this chain space here and go into the next chain space and make a single crochet. Go into the next stitch, make a single crochet, go into the chain space, make a single crochet, go into the next stitch, make a single crochet, go into the chain space and make a single crochet. So you have a total of 5 single crochet stitches made. Now skip the next chain space here and go into the next stitch with 3 treble crochet. Go into the next stitch and make 3 treble crochet. So now you're going to skip this chain space, go into the next chain space and make a single crochet. In the next stitch, make a single crochet. In the next chain space, make a single crochet. In the next stitch, make a single crochet. In the next chain space, make a single crochet. So now skip all the stitches and go directly into the stitch here and make 3 treble crochet. Go into the next stitch and make 3 treble crochet. So now you're going to repeat from the 5 single crochet stitch here down to here, that's the 3 treble crochet stitch, till you get to the end of the row, and I'll tell you guys how to finish up. So to finish up, you're going to skip all of the stitches here and go into this stitch with 2 treble crochet. Go into the last treble crochet here with 1 treble crochet. Chain up 1 and cut. And we're done with 1 panel. So go ahead and make another panel exactly like this. And I already have mine made. My second panel was the one I showed you guys at the beginning of the video. This is my second panel. And you would need to make 2 panels for the sleeve. So let me briefly explain the sleeve panel to you all. So I made my sleeve panel the same way I made my front and back panel, but I started off with lesser rows. Remember, your foundation chain should be a multiple of 14. So my foundation chain was 56 chains plus 5. And that gave me 12 inches, which is what I'm going for. I want a snug sleeve instead of a wide sleeve. So if you want a wider sleeve than mine, I would advise that you make more chains when making your foundation stitch. And I did a total of 23 rows. This measures 23 inches and I'm very okay with the length of my sleeve because I want it to be really long. If you want yours to be short, you make lesser rows. And make sure you take your measurements while you're creating yours because your tension and gauge might differ from mine. You might need to make more rows or you might need to make lesser rows than I did. Now, let's attach all panels together. So we'll start attaching from the front and back panel. Then we'll attach the sleeves. And to do that, we have to map out our neckline. So I usually advise that you place it around your neck and map out your neckline in the middle. Always make sure that the number of stitches you leave on this side is the same with the number of stitches you leave on this side. So by doing this, you can easily customize how wide you want your neckline to be or how small you want your neckline to be. So for today's project, I actually want a normal neckline. I don't want my neckline to be too wide because I'm going for a snug look. So I'll place this on my neck and map out my neckline and then I will give you my measurements. So guys, I've mapped out my neckline on both panels and it measures 10 inches. Now let's attach. I'll be starting from one side of my neckline. And I'll be attaching with my base color, which is the white. So insert your hook into the last stitch here. And into the last stitch on the other panel. So my last stitch here is the chain 3 starting chain. I don't know if you guys can see because this is white, but it's the chain 3 starting chain. Insert your hook into the third chain of the starting chain and attach your yarn. So you can tie to secure. Go back with your hook and chain 1. So now we're going to be attaching the rest of the stitches till we get to the stitch marker with slip stitches. So go into the next stitch, insert your hook. Go into the next stitch on this row, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through and make a slip stitch. Go into the next stitch, insert your hook. Go into the next stitch on the other row, insert your hook, yarn over and make a slip stitch. So just repeat this till you get to where you placed your stitch marker. So I've walked like onto my stitch marker. Now take out your stitch marker on both panels. And insert your hook into the last stitch. Yarn over and make a slip stitch. Chain up one and cut. So go ahead and do the same thing on this side as well. This is mine. And we've successfully attached the neckline. Now we're going to attach the sleeves. So open up your work like this. And look for the middle stitch in your sleeve panel. So this is mine. I already placed my stitch marker. So I would attach the stitch marker to the middle of my front and back panel. That's the part I made my slip stitches. Then divide the width of your sleeve into 2. Remember, mine is 12 inches, so 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then you're going to measure out that figure from one of your panels. So from here to here, measure 6 inches. So I'm going to place my stitch marker into that stitch and attach it to the last stitch here. So this is actually going to make our work more easier. So skip the same amount of rows that you skipped for here on the other panel and attach it to the last stitch here. So now let's start attaching the sleeves. Remove your stitch marker and insert your hook into your body panel and your sleeve panel. Tie to secure. Now insert your hook back and chain upon. Now we are going to hold our work like this, align it, and we'll be making our slip stitches randomly. Go into the next stitch on the body panel and into the next stitch. Be sure to align your work on the sleeve panel. And you're going to yarn over and make a slip stitch. So go into the body panel and into the sleeve panel and make a slip stitch. So just hold on to your work like this and slip stitch both sides together. This allows you to align it properly and slip stitch. So you're going to do that all the way through till you get to the very last stitch marker here. So that means you're slip stitching all the way through till you've completely attached your entire sleeve to the body of your work. I'll do mine and come back and show you how it looks. So I've made my slip stitches till I got to the last stitch here. So take out your stitch marker chain upon and cut. And now you're going to do the exact same thing with the second sleeve on the other side of your top. Here, I'll do my off camera and we'll come back and attach the remaining part of the body. Let me zoom out. We'll come back and attach the remaining part of the body and the sleeves so that this can turn into a complete top. So I'm done attaching both of the sleeves and now we're going to attach the sides together. So the sides of the sleeve and the body of the top is still pretty much open and it's quite easy. So I'll attach from the bottom of the top down to the bottom of the sleeves. To attach, insert your hook into the last stitch here. So I have the starting chain on this panel. I'll insert my hook into the first chain here and into the bottom of the other panel. Attach your yarn and tie. So go back with your hook, insert your hook into this panel and into the other panel and chain upon. So now we're going to be slip stitching each row on both panels together. So what I've tried to do is to place at least 3 slip stitches into each row. I'll insert my hook back into this row and into the first row as well on the other side, and I'll make a slip stitch. Then again, so I'm done attaching the first row together. I'm going to attach the second row. So now you're going to continue attaching like this till you get to the end of the sleeve. So guys, I have slip stitched till I got to the end of my sleeve here. And now to finish up, chain up one and cut. So do the same thing you did here for the other sleeve as well. And when you're done with that, hide your loose ends and you can now try on your top. And this is where we're going to be ending today's tutorial. I had so much fun making this, and I had so much fun teaching you guys how to make this as well. If you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed to this channel. I'll be very happy if after making yours, you send pictures of your work to me on any of my social media platforms. It is really going to make my day. For now, bye and see you guys in another tutorial soon.